I just have some questions.
The excitement over patch 1.17.2 is finally beginning to normalize. But one of the most exciting and overlooked things that happened during 1.17.2 was this developers live question and answer segment that I've not even heard a lot of people talking about. I look at it and I'm really surprised that a big portion of the community wasn't even there during the Q&A. I think they were maybe just in the general chat, or maybe they tuned out and were waiting for the patch to hit. But there was a lot of really good discussion happening there, and I'd like to share it with you today. So let's go ahead and take a look at the highest voted content in the live questions and answers segment conducted with the TurtleWoW development team. World bosses. Are world bosses going to be made more accessible for common folk? Basically, larger guilds had complete control over the world boss spawns, so people couldn't really participate in this content without being a part of those large guilds. The community was kind of wondering if there were plans to fix this, and it looks like, as you can see, the developers are interested in creating a fix for this. There's a planned fix for this in future updates, as they have said in their response. They didn't specify how they plan to fix it. I'm assuming probably something along the lines of, because a lot of their development team has been busy with other projects. If their PvE quality up to this point is anything to go by, I'm really excited to see how they plan on implementing a fix for this, but it is coming. All right, the next most upvoted question: how big is the TurtleWoW team? This is one of the most interesting questions posed in the whole Q&A segment. I, for one, thought their team was very small, but as it turns out, the development team has responded. They're over 100 strong, not including their SCA team and Unreal Engine team, which makes them over 200 strong. Pretty big team, and you know what? Considering the value and the quality of content that we're getting, it makes a lot of sense that you'd have this many people working on the project, including people who are doing, moderation and GM work. These numbers really kind of put things in perspective. Pretty interesting. All right, GregDev155 asked if other classes would get more epic class quests. Additionally, he asked some other questions about if dungeons and raids are going to get expanded, but let's look at the first part of his question. So, are we going to get epic class quests? The devs said they're considering it, but ultimately the content was cut. They may add it potentially in the future. They're pretty thorough when it comes to development. Maybe if they determine that it's necessary or adds a lot of value to the game, it looks like they might add it, but the content is cut right now. And as for the dungeons and raids getting additional expansion, as he pointed out, of course, yeah, the developers have huge plans to continue expanding dungeons as they've done this patch with some of the lower level dungeons. And he finalized his question by asking if scrolls are going to get added to professions, which the devs have considered it, but this has also been cut. I think were originally planning on maybe implementing it into like enchanting. Their next focus after this patch, I think they've said, is going to be survival. They're going to overhaul the survival profession now that jewel crafting has been added. Nazdar asks, do the devs have any ambitions to create more crafting skills if jewel crafting works well? And it looks like we were just talking about, the devs are really focused on completing survival or overhauling survival. They don't have any other plans beyond that. But based on how ambitious this team has been so far, it wouldn't surprise me if they did in the future update or add more changes to improve crafting again. Now this question, it surprises me it hasn't had more upvotes. This is one of the most interesting questions on the entire Q&A segment. The Rio Khadgar asked, what about power creep basically? He's saying, if we keep getting new and upgraded tiers of gear, will the old vanilla content become irrelevant? This should really be a focus for more people in my opinion, because power creep is one of the issues that ruined Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King for me, because all the other content became, there's no point to do it. You just played in the current expansion and it made the game more boring and wasted a lot of the other content. It just turned it into content you did to level to get to the real game, But it looks like the developers have their head on straight with this one. They said they have in mind to make content that isn't dead content. So even when you get other gear or other tiers of gear that they add, they still want things like Molten Core to be viable. Your first raids are still going to be playable, still enjoyable content. Power creep is a serious issue, and I'm really glad that the developers seem to be heading in the right direction with their answer. More character slots, and why are donation rewards character bound? Question. So it looks like the devs do plan on adding more character slots, but they're going to wait to do this until after the Unreal Engine update comes out. So it looks like they're kind of prioritizing and organizing their development power, and that Unreal Engine update is a high priority for them. And then as far as the donation question that was originally attached to this question, or the donation answer that the devs gave, it looks like it's been edited. I don't see the original response. The original response said something along the lines of, this is their only source of revenue that they get to maintain the funding for the project, which is why they kind of lean towards character bound items versus account bound. So that was kind of their mentality when they originally responded. I agree with that. I mean, look at the quality of content we're getting. You have to get that completed somehow, right? So it makes a lot of sense to me. More pet abilities. So Wooden Midnight says, have you considered adding new and themed base abilities to give pets more utility? So this really surprised me to see that it was upvoted as much as it was by the community. This one to me was pretty transparent. So, but I've played vanilla and I've played private servers over the years for like 20 years, so some of these things may have been transparent to me as a veteran player, but they have added content already. And custom theme pet abilities have been upgraded and modified, and the devs responded confirming that. They said, you know, hey, we have added this and we plan to add more in future patches. Bow crafting. So Quick Assumption was asking if bow crafting will become available as a profession anytime soon. Probably not. The devs are saying that they don't have any plans to develop this moving forward, but we did see some really good community commentary regarding this, because you can already create guns in the game, right? So why wouldn't you be able to create bows? But the community said if bows can be created in the game, why not just add it to the survival profession? It'd be a really cool quality of life add-on and add a lot of nuance to an already improved profession that they've added to the game. So I thought this created a lot of cool commentary, and I'd like to see more of this from the community. Really cool ideas. Fishing boss? So Sun Melodic is clearly an avid fisherman and asks if there's any ideas to create new fishing tournaments or add new fishing bosses to expand the fishing profession. This is one of the most interesting responses from the devs that I've seen. Apparently, there have been some new fishing-oriented secrets added to the game. I did not know this until I read this Q&A and saw that they had added it for this patch. The devs apparently are doing their best to keep this a secret so that the community can find these new fishing secrets and tidbits. So if you've been thinking about leveling your fishing skill, there's no better time to do it. Now this question is one of the most asked questions that I've seen. Is TurtleWoW at risk for shutting down? A lot of people, even in our community, who have asked me specifically, is it safe to play TurtleWoW? Yes, the devs have been up for 6 years, and basically they've learned the lessons that Nesarius was operating on good faith and creating something for the community, but they were kind of slapped by Blizzard Legal out of Blizzard Legal's greed, right? So the devs of TWoW are hosting from a territory or a place where Blizzard's copyright infringement or law cannot really reach them right now, is what it looks like, okay? They've been around for 6 years. If Blizzard was going to do anything or they had a plan, they would have implemented it at this point. And even if Blizzard did do something, the TWoW devs could really just host in another location. So is TWoW at risk for shutting down? It doesn't look likely. More reputation quests. So Use Nea asks if the dev team plans on implementing more faction or reputation quests. They specifically mention the Silver Moon Remnant. Thankfully, it looks like the devs do have plans on implementing more endgame reputation quests, but their focus was not using the daily quest method because they felt like it would be a cop-out. The devs are saying daily quests are just too easy, too simple, there's no passion behind it. So the devs want to implement a series of real quests that are more fleshed out, have maybe more lore to them. So the same kind of passion they're putting into the rest of the project is going to go into endgame, or maybe not endgame, but reputation quests for factions, which is really exciting, really cool. will guild houses be returning in the future? So for those of you who don't know, guild houses used to exist in TurtleWoW, and guilds who had them previously still have them, but newer guilds haven't been able to make any new guild houses. Thankfully, it looks like the dev team does plan to bring back guild houses, but they're prioritizing their development resources into the Unreal Engine update right now. So it looks like they will dedicate resources to this after that update is completed. More to look forward to. Low-level raids. Are low-level raids coming to TurtleWoW? This is really exciting, and it's a two-part question. The second part is, can we look forward to more dungeon content? We already know the answer to that is yes. But the first part, low-level raids. The devs are planning to implement low-level raids for players, kind of similar to what Season of Discovery has attempted. And this is really, really exciting because for many people, we're working full-time, we have other responsibilities and duties that we have to do. We still love this game and care about vanilla World of Warcraft, but we finally don't have to spend several months leveling to 60, gearing, just to experience some of the best content that World of Warcraft has to offer. So this sounds like a really, really great idea. Could be one of the best ideas so far on the Q&A segment, and I'm really looking forward to hearing more news about it. Are further zone refinements or improvements coming? So it appears much like the developers did with 1.17.1 for the High Elves and the Goblins getting a new racial starting area. They're going to revamp a lot of the areas that have been untouched for a while in the future. They have confirmed that they're going to do it. So this is really, really exciting news as well. So maybe Tirisfal Uplands, which is still really great, may get some attention. Maybe great zones that are already fantastic like Gilneas may get more attention. I think specifically what they're looking at is like the community's mentioning the Stone Talon Mountains feels kind of dead and empty. Seeing that be revamped would be a great change. So it's coming. We have that to look forward to. Are more talent changes coming? Yes, 1.17.2 is the first round of changes, and devs said they already plan to do hotfixes in the coming weeks to resolve any potential issues or to tweak classes as needed to make them play or feel the way that they should be playing. So if something's overpowered, they're probably going to bring it in line, or underpowered, they're probably going to bring it up so that things are playing better. I'm not sure if the original poster of this question was asking if another complete talent overhaul was coming in the future. If that's what the original poster was trying to ask, it's probably in the realm of possibility that a new talent change would come in the future, but it's most likely a year or more down the road, a long ways away if they do make that change. Alright, so this concludes the most interesting or upvoted questions that the developers responded to during the Q&A segment. It opened up a lot of insight for me on the direction they plan on going. Revealing the team size was really interesting, but understanding the development resources they have at their disposal, that is really, really good to see. So one of the questions that I originally saw on this Q&A segment that was deleted by the user who asked it was, will cross-faction PvP be coming to TurtleWoW to alleviate long queue times? The development team did confirm that they will be implementing this cross-faction PvP on both servers, which means both Alliance and Horde, the faction differences are going to be cut. We'll just be on teams, it doesn't matter who's in it. Just fill the queues so we could play the game. This is a good change. I was really excited to see more in that regard. We have talked previously in this community about what's going on with Tel'abim. Tel'abim is having a lot of issues with queue times because they have a smaller user base. So it may even be beneficial to have cross-server queue times. If possible, that's a solution that Blizzard has implemented, could be useful here on TurtleWoW. But the TurtleWoW team has a lot of irons in the fire and a lot of passion for this project. I've really been enjoying the 1.17.2 update so far, and it's crazy to think we have even more to look forward to as a community. There were more questions and answers that didn't make it into this video, and if you're curious and want to check for yourself, you can look in the description. I'll include a link so you can see what people are talking about, especially some of the other questions. I didn't include a lot of questions that were just kind of funny, lighthearted. They weren't really focused on development or the future of TurtleWoW. They were just kind of having fun. I didn't include those. But the TWoW dev team should be incredibly proud. They are making history and doing a far better job than Blizzard with the original World of Warcraft IP. A lot of their mindset shows that they understand the community better, and they have made all of the content for this game viable instead of releasing future updates where previous iterations of the game would become irrelevant to play or irrelevant to raid. So just a great job by the TurtleWoW devs. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I want to be sure if you had a question that was missed on the Q&A. I know I didn't participate in the Q&A. I was a little bit busy. So what questions do you guys have that weren't asked on this Q&A segment? Thank you again, and I'll see you in the next video.